Wow, MSI cut 5% performance off of their graphics card for the 4070 Ti Super. Let's find out. Hey everybody, welcome back once again. We're just going to jump into it. It seems that, was it one or two reviewers got the MSI, the Ventus 3? The 4070 Ti Super 16 gigabyte of VRAM. And I guess they got the wrong driver software, causing the card to give 5% less performance than what it's supposed to give. But it seems that Asus and their tough RTX 4070 Ti Super is giving the performance, and they don't have the issue. So let's dive right in and find out how I got that information and show you on the action screen.
A quick note on a last-minute issue that cropped up. I filmed this section, just had to add it last minute, and that's because just a day before the review was set to go live, Nvidia reached out informing us that there was a potential performance-related issue with the MSI RTX 4070 Ti Super Ventus 3X GPU, and that was a problem because I did most of my testing with that model. Now, Nvidia claimed that they discovered an issue with the MSI model where performance was approximately 5% below where it should be when compared to other AIB models. They didn't really specify if it was up to 5% slower in some instances or whether this was an overall thing, but regardless, this was a problem because my review, it needed to be retested, and that would take days and days of my time, not to mention having to recreate all the graphs, update the script, re-record, do all the editing, all that sort of stuff. So despite all that, I dropped everything and decided to investigate by testing the Asus TUF Gaming model, which thankfully I did have on hand. After going over all of the data, I found at most a 4% increase in a single title at just one of the tested resolutions, and most games saw at most a 1% increase. So a pretty typical performance variance there between AIB models.
And Steve at Hardware Unboxed put that information out there today as he was doing the testing. And kudos to you there, Hardware Unboxed, for doing that. That right there, that was cool. I thought that was awesomely cool that they did that. But as far as with the benchmarks and everything else, I'm not going to get into that on this video right now. I just wanted to bring up a point of fact that I was bringing up to my Discord patrons there. That the simple fact is that, and I'm not knocking reviewers and don't think that I am, but my point to this is this. Okay, why are the reviewers getting beta benchmarks instead of getting the actual, or not beta benchmarks, getting the beta software? Or they're, well, not getting beta software. Get the actual software to this hardware instead of getting these beta programs. That was a good question I brought up. Seems that nobody's answering that equation other than the fact of, well, this is all they come up with and this is the drivers that they got coming up with right now until release. Well, make sure you got your drink and snacks so that gets released. My point is this. The software that you give to the consumers with this hardware is what they use. So to do actual testing on beta software that underperforms or overperforms, who knows, to the actual software that's coming out, that's another thing. So to give me test results on software that's not been finalized, that's still in beta test, is not giving me an actual result. Okay. Now with MSI and their Ventus 3 and, coming up 5% short, huh? So what? If you're coming up 5% short, then that means you're looking for that 5% you lost somewhere in the beginning. That means you already knew about the 5% and you lost it somewhere, and now you're trying to find it and trying to get it back by tweaking the software. On the other hand, Asus probably got the same software and turned around and sent it out to reviewers, or sent it to Nvidia, and Nvidia sent it to reviewers. And the fact is, there's nothing wrong with their software. This makes me wonder, when you go to do reviews, are you reviewing on the same driver software that the customer is getting? To give an actual true 100% result? Or are you getting beta software as a reviewer just to boost up the card higher than what it's supposed to be? Or vice versa, to make it run slower than what it's supposed to be? Think about it. If you come up with a new, and I'm not knocking the companies or anything else, I'm just saying this hypothetically, which could be reality and fact, that the thing is this: one company sends out the wrong software. Oops, we were supposed to send them the faster software. So then they redistribute the faster software, and then guess what? Reviewers got to make a whole new test up because they did the test 2 to 3 days prior, which I don't do that. I do mine that day. And if there's any hiccups that day, then I can modify and change anything that day. And my videos get posted on that day. So this video I'm making right now gets posted today, not yesterday or 3 days ago. Yeah, y'all wonder why my thumbnails don't come out right and they kind of look crappy and everything else. Because when I put this video together, I put it together with the information I have right now. It's called real-time information. And the real-time information I got on this card for MSI is telling me, and me being a consumer as well as a reviewer, I'm not considering myself really a reviewer. I consider myself a customer reviewing his own products to the public and telling them what my findings are and what my opinions are on certain products that come to the public. Okay, and what I feel that is when it comes down to it, you want to be honest with the consumer. That's one. Don't cheat the customer. Okay, I've been in hospitality all my life, besides doing computer work. Okay, I've worked with the public many of years, all my life. And I know the ups and downs, and I know how much it hurts to see a customer ripped off because that's the way they feel, because you didn't give them the right kind of product. It's like if I'm cooking in a restaurant, right? And they're supposed to have 2 ounces of fish, they're supposed to have 2 ounces of shrimp, and they're supposed to have 2 ounces of scallops, just for say. And then I turn around, I give them 1 ounce, 1 ounce, 1 ounce, and 1 ounce, and they get their plate right in front of them. You take the plate to their table, and it's right in front of them. They're like, "What's this?" And the customer knows that's missing 1 ounce. Okay, it's just like your graphics cards with the performance. If you take part of that performance away from the customer, they're not going to buy it again. They're going to reject it. But when you give them the performance and some, then you're giving them meat on the bone. But when you're not giving them no meat on the bone, and you're just dangling it in front of their face, like these Super Series are, just dangling in front of your face, they feel that, they're just not really right to buy. Because you're putting the same price tag on it, except for one card that doesn't have the same price tag, which is the 4080 Super. But when it comes to the 4070 Super and the 4070 Ti Super, you're dangling the same price. So now if you knocked off like $150 from each one of the cards, then you're not dangling it in front of their face. You're giving them something. You're giving them a more performance for the price. But just dangling it in front of their face, I'm sorry, that just doesn't cut it with me. And especially when, you're giving beta drivers to your reviewers other than giving them the final copy that goes out to the customer. So you're giving phony results. When you got an underperforming GPU and you give it to your reviewers to underperform, and then when you come out with the driver software and you say to yourself, well, the reviewers say that it's just right, so guess what? We're now changing the software to make it underperform on this side. You're cheating the customers. Stop cheating the customers. Stop lying to them. They're the ones buying your products. Stop lying to them. And companies need to realize and wake up and smell the coffee. Stop lying to your consumers. Okay, this channel here, I've already said many a times, the truth will come out. And like I told you before, if the product's good, I'm going to tell you. If it's bad, I'm going to tell you. Either way, I'm going to tell you. So I'm telling you today. Now, the 4070 Ti Super might be good for somebody that's just starting out and they don't know what graphics card to pick. And then everybody convinces them and says, hey, this is the card you need to get. Then they're going to get it and then they're going to try it and they're going to be like, oh my God, it's the best in the world. But for somebody that's been into the game, that knows the game, and tries the card out compared to what they have, it could suck. So it's the matter of opinion if it's good or it's bad. Okay. Now, from what I'm hearing, that, when it comes to this card, and as soon as I get done compiling all my information that I get, since I didn't get the card itself for a review, I have to compile my information on what I get and then give it to you guys. But this is just my first take, what I think about the card, and you hear it from Hardware Unboxed. He just posted this, and I'm not using his information for anything, but I'm just bringing up my point of view, which, that if you're going to send out a card for review, send out the proper drivers, the driver software, But that's okay. It's just my opinion. It's nothing to go against Hardware Unboxed. He does great videos. So make sure you go watch the full video over there for the 4070 Ti Super as well. I'm not the kind of person that's just going to, not mention where the information comes from. I let y'all know where I get my information from and tell you who it is and give them the credit because they did the work. They get the credit. I don't get the credit. I'm just here to tell my subscribers as well as my new subscribers that do come on to JJ's PC Builds that, this is what I come up with for now. This is not the last little bout, but just for now, I'm just telling you what I got cooking. And we are going to have a follow-up video as soon as I compile all the information about the 4070 Ti Super. And when I get all that information and I get it all together, then I'm going to tell you what I think about it then. But right now, I'm not going to really tell you what I think about it. I'm just thinking that the whole point of this video is that, when these companies send out the driver software to the reviewers, it should be this, and this is my opinion, it should be the same exact software. The same exact software that the consumer gets. And it's not. Because I've heard many times reviewers getting overclocking software and everything else. It's not like I'm jealous about it. I'm not jealous at all about it. Is when they can unlock certain things from your card to make it overclock and do whatever you need it to do just to impress the public for views, then that's a different story. But I'm not making this video for views. I'm making this video for information that I stumbled upon today. And I'm passing it along to my subscribers and viewers. I'm not upset about it, but I'm just saying, if there's going to be a problem with it, then they should have already had all these situations worked out before they give out the information to the reviewers. Especially with me hearing that, the card's already underperforming anyway. Because the 7900 XT, well, you're just going to have to wait for the next video. So, but anyway, I just want to let you know what I thought. So, if you made it to the end of the video, we do appreciate you and we're glad that you're here. Hopefully we have more videos for you, which we will, and for you to enjoy. Even though I might make a fool out of myself, but you know how that goes. If we don't, then we don't know how to have humility or be human to the fact. But I do, so take it as a grain of salt. I have no scripting whatsoever. I do everything right out of here. None. No scripting. This is just out of my mouth, as it is, raw, one step, boom, and I give it to you. Nothing else. So, this is the way it goes, and this is the way I do things. And I hope y'all do appreciate the fact of when I do these videos, I do these for the consumer and for them to need to know, and this is need to know. I don't do it to hold information away from the consumer because I don't do that. And I won't do that. Ever. That's the whole part of my channel, is to inform the consumer of what's going on. Even though you got some haters that don't like 1080p, I run all 1080p. So, you think I'm ashamed of it? No. You think I could run 1440p or 4K? Of course. Do I have a 1440p 4K kind of computer? Yes. Can I run it? Yes. Will I run it? Someday. But someday is not today, because I want to stay right where 60 and 70% of your consumers, even on Steam, are sitting at right now at 1080p. So if everybody keeps focusing themselves on 1440p and 4K, they're not going to realize the 60 and 70% of the people are still on 1080p. And you trying to force them to get off of 1080p, I wouldn't, because some of them, most, like I said, 60 or 70% want to stay 1080p because you get very good FPS. And also, too, with the fact of somebody saying, well, why buy an $800-900 graphics card if you're just going to stay on 1080p? Well, why buy a 4K card if you're going to run 1440p? Get it? So, I mean, you can run a 4K monitor and bring it down to 1080p and run 1080p. But that's how you run your game. It's not how somebody else runs it. It's how you want to run it. Who cares what somebody else wants? You're the consumer. You control how you want to run your game. Nobody else. Us as reviewers, we can give you hints and tips and tricks of how to make it better, under our testing. That's how you get better results. Now, you get worse results is when you hear somebody say, well, you should have went to an AM5 motherboard, got the 7800X 3D, and slapped that 4070 right behind it. Okay, well, I know somebody that went and got, what was it, the 7700X slapped to an AM5 motherboard, 700 series, I think it is, and slapped a 4070 behind it, and still comes behind me by 125 FPS. Figure it out. It's not the matter of can it do better performance than mine? It probably could. But it comes to the fact that if you don't know what you're doing, how to set it up and make it run in a balance, then you're never going to get there. Like I said, you have to have your BIOS in a balance with your processor and your memory. Once those are in a balance, then you take your video card, get it into the balance of the processor and the memory and the motherboard, all running out into the same harmony. If you can't, then you're wasting your time. Then that means all the parts you put together was nothing but crap. That means you put together somebody else's suggestion and it didn't work for you. It didn't work for you because the parts weren't put together correctly. Now, back years ago, I know I'm going off on a tangent. Back years ago, when it came to PC parts, you only had a selected few amount of parts back in the 80s. Only a selected few amounts of parts. Some of your computers ran off of integrated graphics. That's it. When you gamed, that's all you had was integrated graphics. Then when they started, breaking the cards off into, taking the graphics completely off of the motherboards and just making the motherboards plain by themselves to have no sound, no VGA, nothing. Just the motherboard. You can find those. They might be out there somewhere. But I can tell you now that they put the sound back onto the motherboards and they put the VGA back onto the motherboards. Now I wonder why. But there's no sense of wondering. There's always a time for another video, but I know MSI is going to make good for what problems they're having right now, so there's no sense of me going on about it. But anyway, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, as always, much love to you for all that you do. Help support the channel. But until the next time in the next video, you know what this is, and we'll see you on the next video.